Welcome to the world's first multilingual youth talk show, Hey the World. And this is the third season. In this season, we brought together the young pioneers in the implementation of the Global Development Initiative, the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and gathered together the youth leaders from the first batch of 100 excellent actions of the Action Plan for Global Youth Development to focus on global development issues and contribute youth innovative solutions. And now, let us feel the wisdom and power of the global youth in building a community with a shared future for mankind. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, about 2 billion people are currently suffering from food insecurity, accounting for a quarter of the world's population. As the new generation of youth, it is our responsibility to take an active role in eradicating hunger and meeting everyone's basic needs. Kumbirai Chimkumpete from Zimbabwe was once employed by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, to support young entrepreneurs. He has successfully solved the problem of food security in his hometown and the surrounding areas. He has also effectively improved the efficiency of the local food production and distribution. Under his influence, tens of thousands of people have been lifted out of hunger. Let's welcome Kumbirai Chimkumpete and experience his wisdom and talent together.
Hello everyone, I'm Kumbirai Chimkumpete. I'm very honored and delighted to stand here and share my story with you. But before I tell you my story, I'd like to show you a set of numbers. We all know that hunger has been a global issue for countless decades. By 2022, approximately 735 million people, 9.2% of the world's population, found themselves in a state of chronic hunger. 2 billion people do not even have regular access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. Today, Africa's food supply problem is very severe. African smallholder farmers constitute a significant percentage of the global 2.5 billion people who do not have a credit score or access to formal financial institutions. Africa is also home to 60% of the world's most arable lands, but lack of financing, abject food insecurity against a rising population becomes the order of the day. I come from Zimbabwe in Africa. I'm one of many, those in Africa who want to eradicate famine and ensure food security, but we do it in an innovative approach through creating a seamless digital inclusive ecosystem. In 2020, we established Umojalands Private Limited, an agri-fintech startup that is driven to reduce the financing deficit of smallholder farmers in the emerging rural economies in Africa, and with the specific focus of providing the technology infrastructure needed to inspire confidence amongst agriculture and climate-positive financiers with regards to the prevalent risk associated with climate change. We collateralize farmer data, actionable insights derived from our satellites, as well as personal information or your bank-level KYC, to be able to tell into the risk associated with lending to a particular farmer and essentially farm viability and fitness to produce and give off an impressive return. We are currently present in 3 countries and 3 regions in Africa, and we are on track to expanding our horizons to cover the 300 million farmers in Africa. There is a story behind why and how I did this. I'm not a farmer myself, but my experience with farmers around me was inspirational. The one closest to my heart being my mother, a passionate vegetable and chicken farmer whom I had the singular privilege of understanding the highs and lows of farming from. Growing up, we had most of our farmer neighbors struggling to make ends meet due to lack of tenuous financing to kickstart their season. This would have a bearing effect on them, in particular, low yield which went to as low as 1.39 tons per hectare 82% short of the expected list average of 5 tons. I was then privileged to work in a bank and a credit bureau. It led me to understand why financiers are not keen to lend to farmers. At the bank, the risk appetite was very low because of low credit ratings and little to no collateral. And at the credit bureau, the ratings were low because of lack of enough information that is needed to satisfy a healthier credit scoring. Knowing all those bleak realities, in 2020, I decided to change this and disrupt this multi-trillion-dollar industry. I met with my co-founder and CEO, Tafadzwa Nashegavi, a farmer-turned-banker himself, who by that time was an agriculture underwriter at one of the microfinanciers in Zimbabwe. We spent countless weeks traveling around Zimbabwe, interacting with farmers, merging our little understanding with their humble narrations of the problems that they were facing. That experience humbled me because I felt I had a personal nexus with the problems, because I've heard it from way back when I was growing up with a hardworking mother. From that journey, we found an opportunity to serve in the agriculture sector where farmers were experiencing 3 issues: poor access to finance due to little or no traceable financial history, very low yields due to poor access to extension services, and lastly, post-harvest loss and bad profits due to poor offtake of produce. From that, Umojalands was born. We decided to partner these farmers and engage this sector by providing innovative solutions which spoke to our vision of a well-empowered smallholder farmer who is profitable, climate resilient, achieves optimum yield, and has equal access to opportunities. We developed an agriculture ecosystem which was powered by 3 flagship products. We have also come up with the idea of providing an e-financial service, which is a platform that uses alternative credit scoring to reduce risk. We bundle it together with Agronomy Box, which is a product that uses satellite data to convert soil, crop, and climate information into actionable insights. Lenders and insurers can also use it for remote risk mitigation and loan management, as well as act as an e-extension product for our farmers to get crop advisory on their phones. Lastly, we have a blockchain-based commodities exchange marketplace with warehouse receipt finance capabilities that simply helps farmers collateralize produce in the warehouse and essentially sell when demand rises. This also has been incorporated with the futures and forwards contract trading to revolutionize agri-financing and the farmers' profitability. Through all the efforts, we have accomplished observable achievements. Currently, Umojalands boasts of a database of 21,000 smallholder farmers in Zimbabwe, spread across 4 of the country's natural regions. Through a strategic partnership with the Agriculture and Rural Development Authority, ARDA, we are even more exposed to 3 million more farmers across 98,000 hectares. We partnered with 3 banks in Zimbabwe and a microfinance called VEL Rural Microfinance. And through these synergies, we originated $600,000 worth of loans to a few qualifying farmers within our database, with a repayment rate of an incredible 95.6%, putting over 45% more income in the pockets of our farmers. We have built a network of over 450 village extension agents who serve as our data capturers. Most of them are jobless youth in the villages. As a business, this is impressive for us, but we are confident we can do more if well supported. We are on track to reach every other farmer in Zimbabwe and beyond, hoping to milk this SADC multi-billion-dollar industry and have a controlling stake in there. Our ultimate goal is to move over 45% of our farmers from being smallholder farming families to at least middle-income generating families by the year 2030, in line with Zimbabwe's Vision 2030 and the African Union's Agenda 2030, which basically seeks to make agriculture a $1 trillion industry by the year 2030. I feel very lucky and fulfilled to do this, as it resembles not only my skill set, but my truest passion and purpose. As we move ahead, we plan to employ more and lead the digital adoption drive in rural Zimbabwe, where adoption of technology is still very, very low. I believe smallholder farmers are not disadvantaged because of their size. Smallholder farmers are disadvantaged because of their isolation. Hence, we invite all developmental finance institutions, venture capitalists, and investors in the room or amongst our online audience to join us to raise $350,000 seed capital, which will go towards the lending to more farmers. Also, to all the youth who want to make a change, you can start by supporting local farmers and caring more about zero hunger. Let us all be part of it, and together we will change the life of the millions of farmers in Africa. Eradicating hunger is not just a goal for my own country. I have learned that there are countless people in China who are working to improve food security through science and technology. Yuan Longping's team recently developed the super rice variety, which broke the world record with an incredible yield of 20.4 tons per hectare in the test field. The team is constantly optimizing the genetic combinations of hybrid rice to improve yields. The planting area of the sea rice they developed is also expanding year by year, and in 2023, it is expected to exceed 1 million more. Yuan's team has solved the problem of food security for 60% of the world's population through science and technology. And when we take a further step to look at the globe as the new generation, it is our unshakable desire to ensure every global citizen, especially those who are poor and marginalized, have access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food all year round. Hopefully, in 2030, we will create a world free of hunger. Youth are pioneers of technological advances. Therefore, when confronting this great task, it's our responsibility to create more job opportunities through innovations in digital technology. I sincerely hope that every young person in this digital age can improve the quality of life and alleviate poverty through technological advancements. This isn't just about farmers. It's about everyone. For a world with zero hunger can positively impact our economies, health, education, equality, and social development. Thank you.
Welcome back. This is the world's first multilingual youth talk show, Hey the World. First of all, I would like to thank Kumbirai Chimkupete for sharing his inspiring story. When the power of youth and technology intertwines, the historical challenges of global food security is elevated. Kumbirai Chimkupete showed us the power of youth and technology in this new era. Zero hunger is the second most important goal for the United Nations Sustainable Development. And with the power of youth, the goal is being accelerated. Today, we have invited our friends from different countries. Let's share and discuss what young people can do to achieve zero hunger. For decades, hunger has been a global challenge for all humanity. Today, countless people around the world are still suffering from hunger. There are now 26 million people in Africa who are facing extreme hunger, and we have Daniel from South Africa with us today. And I would like to invite him to tell us a little bit about the current situation and problem in your country.
So South Africa has lots of fertile agricultural lands, but many of it has been improperly farmed, or some of the older farmers are not incorporating new farming techniques. There are also many informal settlements and underprivileged locations that also incorporate a lot of agricultural into their daily lives, but don't have access to the knowledge, information, or financing that could assist them. Simple farming, such as planting specific crops and certain livestock like chickens, can provide high yields, eggs every day, and there are means to remove the waste products from simple life. And a healthy egg every day is more than enough to sustain a family, plus you have foods that come from it.
Lack of technology, knowledge, and information is holding farmers back from gaining high yields. So I would like to ask Daniel, do you think there are any solutions to your country's current problems?
Absolutely. The biggest being the creation of hydroponic towers and tents and aquaponic tents and warehouses, where not only you can produce large quantities of food, but you minimize the loss of water and maximize the uptake of nutrients to be able to do so. Furthermore, with aquaponic growing, you farm fish that provide nutrients to your plants. So not only do you have crops that you can harvest, but you have fish that you can harvest for food as well.
Thank you, Daniel. And of course, Africa is not the only continent suffering from hunger. Hunger is a global issue that concerns the health of all mankind. Every country faces a different situation, and today we have a friend from another continent, Anna from El Salvador. Anna, have you learned anything about the measures or progress in your country when it comes to eradicating hunger?
Well, of course. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN believes that my country, El Salvador, is on track to achieve the goal of zero hunger, but that developments are rather slow. Just in 2022, 13% of the population, which represents more than 900,000 people, experienced food insecurity. To combat this, the government has put into place different organizations whose main objective is to combat these insecurities, with the main one being the Program of Information Systems to achieve the resilience in food and nutritional security of the region, which survives to better the situation in the Central American region as a whole by aligning different national public policies that combat both food insecurity and poverty at the same time. As we all know, these two social problems strongly correlate with each other.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing and telling us about how El Salvador is trying to eradicate hunger. And yes, the UN system is addressing these root causes through our support for sustainable, equitable food systems that put people over profits. That means massively scaling up investment in resilient agriculture and aligning them with climate actions. It means leveraging science and technology to improve the efficiency and reach of food systems. With that being said, I would also like to invite our other panelists to share their stories and their insights on how we can deal with achieving zero hunger.
I just want to kickstart by thanking the speaker of mentioning Yuan Longping. He's really a Chinese hero, feeding 1/5 of the world's population. And just thinking back, each of the Chinese population having a bowl of rice, right? That's 1.4 billion bowl of rice every day. And throughout the year, that's 500 billion bowl of rice. And Yuan Longping pretty much single-handedly dedicated his life in increasing yield for hybrid rice. So thank you so much for mentioning a Chinese hero in your speech. But what is interesting is that among us, mostly are developing countries. So I want to turn to Jennifer and wonder if hunger is still an issue for developed country in the United States.
Thank you so much for bringing this up, because I actually wanted to bring it up as well. I think that a lot of people think that the United States, being a developed country, wouldn't have any problems with hunger, but hunger is still a prevalent issue facing our society, with many low-income families struggling to afford basic groceries. As the price of groceries are rising in our country, people are being able to take home less and less for the same price that they would be paying in previous years, especially this year. So that is a huge problem. And there's actually a lot of people, low-income families, that are suffering and need to access government programs to help them access food stamps. But actually, the qualification to enter these programs, you need to meet a certain income level. But a lot of people exceed that income level, but still are not able to afford basic necessities. So something that is promising is there are a lot of grassroots organizations of people collecting money and getting food and distributing it among people in their local communities who are in need. And so that's something very promising to see. Where the government kind of fails, the people will step up.
Thank you, Jennifer. As you mentioned, dealing with food security, dealing with poverty, dealing with hunger is not a problem facing the developing countries, but also a challenge for developed countries as well. Harvesting food is a very simple process, but we need to build resilient systems to sustain that. And these systems have to be sustainable. These systems have to be economically sound. These systems should create jobs and also alleviate poverty along the way. And that's why the project of Kumbirai is such an inspiring journey, that it not only supports farmers, but provides them with financial tools and resources in order for them to have a sustainable and more fruitful agricultural journey. With that being said, I would like to thank all of our panelists for sharing their insights on how we can achieve zero hunger. Food is the basic need of all people. Eradicating hunger is a global issue for all humankind. If even the most basic issue of food security cannot be resolved, and if so many people around the world are still struggling from the lack of food, how can we possibly realize other sustainable development goals? Let us work together to eradicate hunger, and together we can build a better world where everyone has access to sufficient and healthy food. We promise, as global young people, we will take actions to achieve sustainable development goals and make huge contribution to zero hunger and food security. Thank you, and this is Hey the World.
We collateralize farmer data, actionable insights derived from our satellites, as well as personal information.
我们使用农民数据，我们卫星捕捉的有用信息以及个人信息。
Our ultimate goal is to move over 45% of our farmers from being smallholder farming families.
Нашей целью является перевести не менее 45% наших фермеров из категории семей.
Eradicating hunger is not just a goal for my own country.
La lutte contre la faim n'est pas seulement un objectif pour mon pays.
Youth are pioneers of technological advances. Therefore, when confronting this great task, it's our responsibility to create more job opportunities through innovations in digital technology.
Los jóvenes son pioneros en los avances tecnológicos. Por lo tanto, al enfrentar esta gran tarea, es nuestra responsabilidad crear más oportunidades de trabajo a través de la innovación y la tecnología digital. Nuestro objetivo final es sacar al menos al 45% de nuestros agricultores de ser familias de pequeños agricultores y convertirlos en familias generadoras de ingresos medios para el año 2030 en línea con la visión